Hello, my name is Xavier Winters, and I'm interviewing Chantal Winters. How you doing, Miss Chantal?
Good. How are you?
All right. It's a few questions I want to ask about yourself. Where are you from?
Originally, I was born in Houston, Texas, but I grew up in Saco, Louisiana, which is right outside of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Okay. And what do you remember about your childhood growing up?
Well, I'm the only child and the only grandchild, so I remember just having to make fun for myself, which was playing with dolls or watching TV or creating plays, just anything that I can just provide entertainment for myself.
Okay. And what college you attend and what did you study?
I attended Southern University and A&M College in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I received my bachelor's in accounting, and I also went there for my MBA and with the concentration in accounting.
Okay. And why did you choose an HBCU school?
Actually, I'm the third generation graduate of Southern University, so I kind of didn't have a choice. My grandfather, he went to Southern University, he taught at Southern University. My grandmother, she also attended Southern University and taught at Southern University. And then they both sent both of their kids to, I mean, not both, but all four of their children to Southern University. And so, being the only grandchild, I had no choice but to attend Southern University as well.
Right. All right. And do you think it's harder to get a job if you graduate from HBCU?
I think that you'll come across some roadblocks in the beginning, but after you get that first job, all it takes is one person to give you a chance. If you get that first job, then it becomes about the person and not the university. So I think yes to a certain degree, but then if you, anybody can overcome those roadblocks. So
Yeah. All right. And what advice would you give a young person that's interested or that's attending an HBCU?
I say go for it. I mean, I don't think that you'll find a support system like you'll find at HBCU anywhere else. You'll have smaller classroom sizes, so you'll be able to get more one-on-one attention. Of course, you'll come across difficulties there, but you'll come across difficulties at any university. Every university has some problems, some issues, but you just have to look at it as this experience and preparing you for the real world, because you will have a lot of difficulties once you graduate from school.
All right. Now I want to ask you a few questions about the Iran and Iraq war. What is the actual history of the war between Iran and Iraq in 1980?
Okay, so the Iran and Iraq war was held during 1980 and 1988 when Saddam Hussein was the president of Iraq. However, this war was not only 8 years of conflict between two countries, but it looks like for the previous 30 years they have been struggling with some kind of war. Further, a surprising fact behind this war is that there were some signs also presented back in the 16th and 17th century as well. During that period, the Parisians and the Ottomans were conflicting with Sadat al-Arab waterway located in the Persian Gulf. And this fight moved on into the 20th century. At that time, Iraq and Iran officially accepted a treaty in 1937. This treaty announced official control to Iraq over the whole waterway. This treaty worked only for the next 20 years. When Abdul Karim Qassam took the charge of Iraq leadership after that, he rejected the treaty. The summit process could not happen properly between the two countries because Iran was a larger country, having more military force as compared to Iraq. Hence, the imprint of this war can be seen from the 16th century onwards till now.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. And what are the responsible factors behind the war between Iran and Iraq?
The action of war could be taken by Saddam Hussein, who was the president of Iraq. However, Iran had no choice to do what they needed to do to normalize the relationship with Iraq. In the early 1980, when the Saddam Hussein period started, he took a decision to take action and announced on the 17th of September in the parliament. After the 5 days of his announcement, the day was 22nd of September, when the forces of both land and air forces of Iraq and Iran and the Iran border started to fight with each other. And the military forces of Iraq achieved some success over Iran because the army of Iran was larger as compared to Iraq. As they were fighting as independent divisions, and their decision to fight was not influenced by any other senior authorities to take back On the other side, Iraq tried to normalize the situation of battle because Iran had heavy Air Force power. Also, Iraq knew about the hard fact that Iran could achieve success in this battle definitely in future. Further, in a period of 8 years, there were many incidents that happened when the war was drawn and ceasefire had been done, because both countries had faced heavy loss of their population and nobody could succeed at that moment. After that, Iran went to the UN Security Council resolution, and also Iraqis agreed for the resolution without gaining anything with long conflict.
Okay. And what were the effects on the population of these two countries during the war in 1980?
Okay. Both countries were struggling on the matters of socially, economically, and politically. There were millions of casualties that happened during the war, and the Iraq country was not able to pay back their debt because of their slow GDP growth. Literally, no economic development could be seen during those 8 years. However, the result was that both countries stood in the category of the poor list of countries. The military of Iran was seen in vulnerable conditions. They were not able to fight because there was heavy losses in their military force as well. Further, Saddam Hussein did not want to stop there. Even his motive was much bigger. And his eye was not the most vulnerable piece that was Kazakhstan, which is situated in the southwestern Iran. This place is rich with oil, and also it is a major source of oil supply in the Iranian. Both countries started to target oil tankers, civilians, school kids, merchant ships, etc., but the outcomes were not favorable for both sides. So ceasefires started again during this war period.
Okay. All right. And who is ISIS, and what is the impact of ISIS on the neighboring nations of Iraq?
It's a Sunni terror organization. It is Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. It was derived from several other terrorist groups. However, they are completely against the government that is working in Baghdad and also U.S. activity in Iraq. ISIS is one of the terrorist organizations built by Al-Qaeda. ISIS is actively working in the areas of Syria and the north and west part of Iraq. And the motive of this terrorist group is to make separate state in between the Mediterranean Sea and the Tigris, governed in the name of the Islam only. His fighters have small and light kind of weapons like rifles, machine guns, and rocket grain launchers, etc. Literally, Iraqi government seems powerless in front of ISIS. They have no control over this terrorist group. Government of Iraq is not able to stop ISIS movement on the borders of Syria, and they are taking advantage of this loop point of government. Fighters of ISIS can move easily in those areas along with their weapons. Additionally, the difference of religious beliefs between Sunni majority and Shiite majority, and this is another one favorable factor for ISIS. Not only this, ISIS always makes an effort to build his organizations more powerful by raising heavy funds from bank robbery, capturing oil fields, charging civilians, and also taking taxes in their control areas.
All right. And what is the difference between Sunni terrorist groups and Shiite extremists?
Basically, there is no difference between Shiites and Sunnis communities. Both of them believe in Allah, but their religious beliefs have slightly differed from one another. However, being extremists or terrorists is not a good thing because both are following wrong practices, somewhere by doing terrorist activity. Hence, according to Sunni communities, that Shiites are not real Muslims. Further, Shiite communities are based on their clerics who explain Islam definition and different mannerisms, along with all flexibilities related to the modern culture. They can alter their religious beliefs according to their leaders, and all the members of this community take their leaders' commands seriously. They can only practice what their leaders say. On the other side, Sunnis practice accordingly Quran and Hadith, and whatever they can understand from it, either good or bad, it should be followed at any cost. That is why they are more dangerous, because sometimes they can kill innocent people in the name of Allah. Their belief system is very dull because God says never to kill people or humanity. In Iraq, both Shia groups and Sunnis are fighting over oil resources. Both have mutual motive for fighting, and they can convert it into the name of God.
Okay. What is the strategy of UN behind for supporting this Saddam Hussein during the war of Iran and Iraq in 1980?
The support was only for Iraq. The UN did not support Saddam Hussein personally during the war, but the UN provided support for their purpose in a very limited way to Iraq, and it was not on a large scale. However, in the name of support, UN only provided advice, equipment, ammunition, electronic warfare devices, and some tactical information. And the main supporter of Iraq was Russia in that period. Further, the involvement of U.S. in the war was very small, just like a single drop in the river, and the major purpose was for insurance. When the condition of Iran was good during the battle, it looked like a winning situation for Iranian.
Okay. And what message is given by Iraq and Iran war in 1980 to the whole world?
Well, obviously, war is not a good thing for any nation, but sometimes to save our pride and reputation, war has become a part of our life as well. Everyone wants to live in a quiet and peaceful atmosphere where humans get full freedom to live happily. Additionally, any president of any nation, he or she, should always try to get solutions from discussion peacefully instead of military action. Everyone knows about one clear fact, that war gives a bad effect to everyone, because during war of two nations, naturally losses will occur on both sides every time, which be it socially, politically, or economically. And the Iran and Iraq war is a clear example of these things, where millions of casualties have taken place, along with heavy economic loss without any good results. Through terrorism, nobody gets a solution for it, but every nation should always try to demolish terrorism inside the nation by giving them satisfactory and equal rights along with freedom.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I have for you, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right.